All right, here we are today with Regis Finn here from B&M, who's going to give us the grand tour. Motorator Matt here on the assist as well. We're going to take a look at some of the past, present, and future of B&M racing, and take a look at the performance aspect of the history, the grand case, if you will. Tell us a little bit about what's going on here and why you have so many of these awards that are showing up here.
A lot of Wallies up there.
Yeah, a lot of Wallies. These are actually the Wallies that you get for being a major NHRA sponsor, which we were up until, I think, about 2007.
2007.
Yep.
So these are Wallies that you bought.
Exactly, and they were expensive. They were expensive. Here you see a vase. It's from SEMA, founding exhibitor. So we were one of the founding companies for SEMA.
So you guys are old timers. Been here like 56, 57 years in business?
57, since 53.
53.
1953 was the start of B&M Racing?
Yeah, it was started by Bob Spar, that's the B, and by Mort Schumann. So that's the B and the M.
Are they both deceased, alive?
No, Bob Spar's still alive. He
Okay.
sold the company, I think in about 2005, to an investment group called Dubin Clark. Okay. So that's who owns B&M now. But Bob's still alive. His brother purchased Mort's share, I think, in 1955. So Mort left the scene a long time ago, and Mort became a fireman. And
likes to party, do his thing, got out of
Exactly.
Didn't want to work hard with his brother, one of those stories.
Exactly,
Seen it so many times. Seen it so many times. Now tell us a little bit about B&M started in transmissions, automatic gearboxes. Yes. I think it was and I'm seeing a picture of it here. I remember the old-time logo.
The old Hydro.
The 4-speed Hydromatic, like cast iron 4-speed gearbox from the early 50s, 60s
Correct.
In that era. And they took that and made that their flagship product. But from there, they sprung board into to what? What was their next thing? Because
next thing was torque converters.
Torque converters, because I know that transmission didn't last long in production.
No, it didn't. But it was quite popular.
It was a beefy transmission, but who needs a cast iron 4-speed when you can get a
Exactly.
Hydromatic out of aluminum?
Right? Exactly. But the next thing they were involved was with the invention of the stall converter. And they worked with Chrysler on their Hemi program. So they were heavily involved in the late 60s with that whole program. And then after that, they went into the shifters. And
in the 60s then?
In the 60s, they went after the shifters, and they kept on building more and more and more shifters. And then in the late, I guess in the early 80s, they started, doing a lot of like the chrome. We had, I guess in the early 90s, we actually had, the superchargers. We had billet pulleys, billet valve covers, and we were doing that's when the whole hot rod billet thing exploded.
Right. Plus not just shifters and things for American cars. I think you guys do full product.
For everything.
For everything.
Yeah. B&M does manual and automatic shifters.
And a lot of people recognize the white Hurst ball and the B&M ball and the chrome shifter, but I understand that a big part of the business is OEM shifters as well, or it was.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys still.
It is. It still is, especially on the Hurst side, which we're not really talking a whole lot about today. But as you know, B&M purchased Hurst back in 2006, so it is a B&M company.
So Hurst now is making everything from end to end, acquiring companies.
B&M.
B&M is, and we're here now, and we're going to take a look at some of we'll call it the Wall of Fame.
Yeah, I just call it the wall of pictures.
Some pictures of historical events, things, goings-ons.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great.
Okay, let's go. Okay, here's a picture of Hugh Tucker's car. He was one of the big-time gassers. And I just met the guy myself. I wasn't old enough back when these cars were running to really know what was going on. But I just met him at the Grand National Roadster Show.
Oh, okay.
Super nice guy. And he actually had the car there all restored. So if you're a gasser, well known. Everybody knows the name Rod Fuller?
No.
We sponsored him. Rod Fuller is now a professional top fuel driver. And at the time, he was a super gas, super comp guy. And here you can see the big, gigantic B&M sticker on his car. Great, great guy. Anthony Bertozzi, he is a big-time racer back east, New York. Great guy.
Does he need all these?
He needs that.
That's how
he needs that money.
Pays the bills.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like we're paying him quite a bit. Let me see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, he was making some money there.
It's like you get the multiplier effect when you use more stickers, or is it the?
No, it's like you'll have one for torque converters, you'll have one for shifters, you might have one for coolers, you might have one for flex plates. So just depending what we were paying contingency on that year.
And each one you collect specifically some cash for, if you will.
Exactly. Everybody knows Don Perdone, the snake. And this is his first solo effort in a car that was actually owned by B&M. And it was called the Torque Master.
Looks like a scary car.
It does. I was just going to say, it looks like a scary car. Would you want to sit behind the engine like that in an open environment with no firewall or anything?
That's crazy. Like these plastic goggles are going to do anything.
Like every time these blowers and stuff explode, there's definitely...
There's no blower strap on that either.
No, it's just...
It's very nice. On the top of that, sitting on a 9-inch next to some expanding slicks near your head that are going to shrapnel you, but that's...
And this guy's out here smoking a cigarette or something, and he's got it going on over there in his mouth.
There you guys go.
Here we are.
Yeah, this is our warehouse. This is where we keep our products. You can see some of the products up here on the shelf. Up here in these boxes, you got all the different B&M transmissions. Here we got some deep pans and tons of different torque converters. And we make so many different torque converters.
I got a great story for you from the B&M shift kit. First, I think that was one of the first things. My uncle owns a transmission shop. So my mom and their family are in the transmission business. And I went down there, scavenged a Turbo 400 for my Chevelle. This is a legendary car that was a piece of crap that we had a lot of fun in. But I remember the first thing I bought for that was the shift kit. And installing it, the instructions were, street strip or race only.
When you drill the holes and put the balls in and out.
Yeah, I did the race version of it, but I remember reading the instructions on it that said something like this: caution may cause neck damage. And I'm thinking, that's the one that I want.
Yes.
So did the street one and did everything. Came out great, except there's one thing they tell you to leave off the vacuum modulator, which I never knew what that stupid thing was for. Who knew what that was?
It doesn't do anything. It's just a waste.
So you drive this car, and it had let's say it had a 12-to-1 427 big block in it, and
nice
when it
motor.
shifted, it would do that. It would wind up to about 5,000, and then throw the gear. So you'd be doing this like wham, and just violent shifting. I go, this is bitching. I go, if I could only make it shift a little sooner, I could drive this car around, because that was my daily driver.
And that's where the modulator comes in.
Yeah.
But the guy, when I took it to my uncle, hey, take a look at this thing. It's not something. He goes, yeah, you got to put the vacuum modulator on it, idiot. Put it on, worked great, but it was a violent shifting. It was so hot.
That's what made us famous.
What range of transmission you got? The standard turbo 350.
Yeah, we do the turbo
400,
350.
700R, 4s. What?
We do some of the Fords. We have some new transmissions that we're doing right now. One of the Chrysler Overdrives, which I think is a 518. We're doing the 4L ADE, which is
GM.
It's a GM, which is kind of like the Turbo 400, but with an overdrive on it. So it's a heavy-duty truck one. A couple Ford ones, which I can't remember the names of.
So you're still expanding the line as you.
We are. For the the last couple of years, we've been kind of just flat with the economy. We're like everybody else. We cut back. We didn't want to put a lot of money into anything. We just trying, like everybody else, just trying to ride out this bad economy. Now things are getting much better. So we're having a lot of new products coming out.
So I smell raise for you there, Regis.
For those that could use one, Nate.
Give him a raise. So, tell me about we've used the shift kits and stuff in the past, and all the muscle cars and the standard transmissions, those the 350s and 400s. But it seems like all of the new cars are computer controlled.
They are. We do have something for computer controlled cars, not for all of them, but we have a device that plugs into the side, and like you did your shift kit from years past, this does it. And it has 3 different modes on it. It has basically stock, then kind of like a harder, like a street shift, and then a really hard shift. And it's all done with a button.
Does that really hard shift come with a warning? Because if they're not including that warning that says may cause serious neck injury, they're not going to sell a damn one of those things. So
you know what? I think that's probably why we haven't sold any.
You're
hired.
You get these marketing guys going, because I remember reading that instruction and going, that's the mode for me. Throwing out ball bearings. It was good. It was a good time.
So you guys are basically offering like a computer tuner.
It's not really a tuner. What it does is you can change like the line. Everything's electronic in there.
Yeah.
So everything shifts with solenoids. The line pressure is controlled with solenoids. So just by hitting a button, you can basically
set the mode.
Yeah, you can have a car that you can drive every day to work. Take your wife, your girlfriend out for dinner. You can have something when you're driving. You want a little bit more of a snap. You can put on that side. If you want it real hard with tire chirping, it's just a switch of a button. So it makes a nice.
And what cars do you have that for? Do you have like new Mustangs, new Camaros?
It's for cars up through like the late 90s. These are what we used to give out when we did contingency. So if you had one of our shifters in our car, you were drag racing. If we were a contingency sponsor, you had this on the side of your car.
Stickers.
You get money.
Lots of stickers.
Yeah, and it was like $250 or $500. So And you remember that pictures of those cars that showed
Had 5 of
all
them.
those stickers. I mean, you can imagine if you're getting $250 to $500 for all those. Plus, you're winning money from the race itself.
Probably
so
just about
pretty good
just about break even is what you're saying.
Probably, yeah, with all the drinking.
That's
they
the
do.
best part about car parts. Everything comes with a sticker.
One of our transmission temperature gauges. What you want to know about transmission temperature, a lot of people don't know this. You want to keep the temperature at 200 degrees or below. For every 20 degrees you go above 200, you cut the life of the
Life of the fluid down by.
You cut it down by half. So at 220 it's half, 240 it's a quarter, 260 it's an eighth, and it just keeps on going down and down and down. So
200.
Very important, 200 degrees.
200 or below. I'm gonna have to remember that one.
Here is one of our super coolers. And this is actually an engine oil kit right here, I think. Actually, this is a super cooler. This is one of our stack plate designs. And you can see we don't have the traditional tubes. I'm sure you're familiar with the tubes that run through it. These actually have these stacked plates. And what's nice about this, you can feel how tough it is. I mean,
Rigid?
really, really rigid.
Yeah.
And then the other good thing is you have a lot more, what makes this thing cool is your surface to air contact. And by having these fins be real wide like that, you have a lot more air to surface contact. So the thing becomes very, very efficient. Okay, here you can see what they're doing is they're assembling some of the shifters. You can see the cables, you can see the small parts bags. What they're doing is they're taking all these shells up here that are filled with the small parts. What they're doing is they're putting it in those bags and they put the parts together with the shifter mechanisms that we have over here.
So they basically build the parts separate, and then they do the specific assembly for each model, make,
Yes.
and thing here.
Yes, and you can see some of our riveting machines back here. Now this looks like it's probably one of our Pro Sticks.
We still got to get to the machine that tests this thing thousands and thousands of times.
We are going to see that. We're going to see that very soon. The famous B&M
The famous B&M T-handle.
And I'm trying to think, this is probably the Mega Shifter, the 80690 that we looked at. This is one of the more popular ones. This looks like it. You can see where the boot goes, and it has a trigger and the T-handle.
Reverse light, neutral switch.
Yep. Neutral switch and reverse lights. Over here is our test machine. And what we'll do is we will test shifter till it fails. And obviously, you know, they're designed to go well over 1 million shifts, which most people will never get to. And here this looks like a manual shifter for one of the new Challengers. For the, what is it, 08, 09, 010 Challenger. You can see here, it has all the counts, you know, how many times it's shifted, the pressure. So it's what we're trying to do is duplicate you, just beating it.
I'll solve this problem for you and save you $100,000 on that machine. Give me one of those shifters. I have a 6-year-old kid can break anything, and he'll have that thing. Either it will be left alone working, or it'll be in 4 pieces. And he can take care of that thing. This is way too much overkill.
Okay. Anyways, this is our engineering department right here. I am not an engineer. Here are the great white coats. If you'd like to put one on.
Who's David?
David is one of our engineers.
He left his jacket there.
Kenji is
How
our.
come this is the only room in the building that's air conditioned? I don't know.
Oh.
I'd like to just get a little feel for how the the labor versus management versus technology.
It is. It's a 2-tier society here. We got the haves and the have-nots.
He's an inspector. He's one of those guys that puts those little numbered tags in your underwear.
13, Inspector 13. Inspector 13.
Yeah, we have we have the Rockwell harness testers over here. There's a plotter. Here's one of our engineers. What they do is they randomly just grab a part off the shelf and they test the specs.
So essentially, they spot check QA, make sure quality is up to snuff.
Exactly.
Is this one broken? Is this one past
There's
mustard?
nothing broken in here. Cut. Here we have a
Granite table,
huge,
nice.
they call a surface plate, where it's a precision ground granite plate. And here we have all the measuring equipment.
It's like a beer bottle coaster marks back there.
It's great for doing, what's the game?
Penny.
Quarters?
Quarters.
Quarters.
Yeah.
You can
Pennies
see
for us
here,
were cheap.
there's been a lot of quarter games happening here, but we don't need to talk about that. That's an OEM shifter that
You guys are gonna.
I don't know what they're doing.
You guys are gonna take this and jack it up. It looks like.
It almost looks like a pipe. If you hold it like this. You smoked pot in your day. Does
No,
that
no,
look like
pot
something
smoke.
you would smoke out of? Okay, this is our race trailer right here. Actually, it's a display trailer. We built this in 1995.
All the goodies packed inside of there?
Yep, and we're going to take a look at it in a second. You can see it doesn't have a conventional door in the back. It just has a gate that folds down. So it's basically all displays inside there. This really shows the history of B&M right here. And I'll get a little bit closer so you can see it. Here it shows, here's Bob Spar. Here's Mort. So the M and the B of B&M. This is Donnie, Bob's brother, who purchased out Mort. And you can see the company was started in 53. 55, Don joins. And let's see, 58. Okay, so it was 58 that Mort sold his interest to Don.
I'm digging the 1980s version Camaro with the neon and the purple. And
It feels like a big hair car.
This car, believe it or not, was probably on the cover of every single magazine that was car related in the world at the time. It was well ahead of its time. We got tons of publicity. This car was almost done when I first started working here in 1990, and being the young, enthusiastic guy that I was, I wanted to help, and I scratched the stainless steel firewall when the CEO was standing right over my shoulder, and I almost ended my career that day. Here is some of the shifters that we made, and this might have been one of our first automatic shifters, the Series 7. And if you have one of these today, they're worth quite a bit of money, because a lot of the folks that were young back then are trying to relive their youth.
Yeah, they can't, but they can buy the shifter.
Well, we don't even make that shifter, but they can buy it off eBay, and it's quite a bit of money. So if you have one, put it on eBay.
Well, a fine, quick tour of the B&M facilities here. Been here as long as I've been a hot rodder, and I want to say thanks to Regis for taking us a tour and letting us mess with
B&M Racing, over 50 years in the business. Now we get
57.
to see how it was all done. Regis, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you guys so much for coming out. We enjoyed having you.
Yeah, excellent.
Thank you.
Appreciate the tour.